Well, all right, wrestling fans everywhere, we got a show for you. That's right. Lots of interesting things going down with the WWE. Vince McMahon. News has just broken. You like my sound system? This is the way we do it on the show. I'm not like today's guest, who's going to be coming on in a little bit later, who is super fantastic when it comes to dealing with all this stuff. We're going to get some inside scoop into all of this craziness that's going on right now with Vince. He's stepping down. In the live chat, do me a favor. Tell me if you heard about this story. Tell me if you heard about all the craziness going down with Vince McMahon and the WWE. Craziness. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for hitting the like button and helping this meatball reach other meatballs. Is the sound okay? Can you tell me in the chat? Willie Pete, this is your first live. I'm happy that you're here. And Sharon Jones, you're a fan of professional wrestling. That's great. You're going to find some things out today because guess what, everybody? I was the head writer. It was like me and one other guy for almost 2 years. Crazy times. Highest ratings in the company. I'm going to show you. There's been some rumors online that perhaps I didn't work for the company. That's goofy. That's goofy. But we got to talk about this because I got to tell you, quietly in the background, I have been wondering what's taking so long with the whole Me Too movement. Not that I saw anything, saw some things we'll talk about on the show, but not that I'm going to judge, but we're going to judge. We're going to judge some things that we've heard because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. He's stepping down. His daughter, Stephanie McMahon, if you don't know about WWE, what are you, living under a rock? It's like the World Wrestling Entertainment. It used to be World Wrestling Federation. That's when I was there at WWF. And then when I left, they had a big lawsuit and they had to drop the F. They had a whole program, Get the F Out. And then it became World Wrestling Entertainment because of the World, the Wildlife Foundation. They wanted their title back, I guess. So there's a probe going down right now. The WWE board is probing. There's some hush money. Some hush money has been revealed. Got to keep people quiet. Something like that. It happens, I guess. I don't know. People in power, billionaires and all. Such a charged environment. I remember when I worked there, things were very different. When I came in, thank you, Trish Richards, with the $4.99 super chat. Whoa! I appreciate that. Hey, do me a favor, everybody. Come on. I'm live. This takes a lot. Hit the like, will you? X out of chat for a second. Just hit the like. It'll help more people to find this channel. That's what I'm hoping for. It's hard enough to do what I'm doing without help. I can't do it alone. I need all of you. So, we're going to get into how Vince McMahon got away with this for so long. That's my question. I need to know. I don't know how, for this many years, nothing's come out about this. Because I will tell you one thing. When I worked for the company, I heard stories. All the people that were close to him. All the agents. Big, amazing talents. Legends. Jerry Briscoe, Jack Lanza, who just passed. All of these people, they all had stories to tell, and they told young Jacob, this young guy, this little meatball who came in working for him, this little green kid who, slightly changed the environment and landscape of how World Wrestling was done. Brought in scripting on a whole other level. Brought in morality on a whole other level. Brought in, I was like having crisis of faith when I was working there because I realized when I was coming in just how corrupted this was. It was like, they had Jello matches. They had, just the most demeaning stuff. And then here I am, this guy who wants to serve God, this young kid who wants to serve God. I was in my 20s, not yet starting my family. I actually left when my firstborn, Noah, was born shortly after that. But I wanted to make a difference. And little by little, you're going to find out on today's show how I did. But we're going to really pull back the layer. We're going to get to the root of that. You saw the thumbnail. You want to know who that woman is in the with the big question mark? Who's this woman? You're going to find out. Who is behind all of this? Who's leaked the info? This is a big deal. How did he go this long without getting the Me Too thing? That's interesting. His daughter Stephanie became my boss, and she was the head of the writing. And I got to tell you something. Let me tell you something. I want to be very clear. This was like the greatest opportunity that was ever given to me. I got my job because I was doing like an independent movie that I wrote at the time. And Shane McMahon came into a store I was working at. I was selling orthopedic furniture. I was selling mattresses. And you know me, I love to give people support and rest and comfort. I was young. Shane came in, bought like an office chair. He had a bad back. I sold him a bunch of stuff. And I said, hey, you looking for writers? And he said, yes, we're always looking for writers. At the time, Vince Russo, the legend, right? Not many people know about me. We're going to talk about Russo's numbers and my numbers in a sec, because I dig Vince Russo. I actually, I started sending in scripts to Vince Russo because Shane orchestrated it. But it wasn't until Vince Russo left and went to, WCW. That was their competition at the time. They were beating WWE in the ratings when I came on, that I was given this opportunity. Interesting. Very interesting. So Stephanie did become my boss, and a talented young lady who ended up in a relationship with Triple H, caused a little bit of stir with some of the talent, China being one of them, who I was very close with, Eddie Guerrero, who I was very close with. China and Eddie Guerrero, they had a little run. I was always trying to I wanted to kind of encourage people in a roundabout way the best that I could. Like Eddie got his GED so that he and China could have a nice relationship. Some of the greatest things on WWE, some of the highest moments on WWE, the top ratings that ever existed on WWE, I was blessed to be a part of. And I thank God for that. How else do you explain it? We're going to get into that. Let's take a look at what Stephanie just said on Twitter. Now, Stephanie, just so you know, Hunter, who I used to write for, Paul, brilliant. What a talent. Just so smart, so amazing. I was just honored to be able to write for this guy. And he would highlight things in the script. Like I'd hand people scripts. It was before I came in, everything was like bullet points. But I would write scripts because I didn't know how to write wrestling. But Hunter, man, he would come out and he was just amazing. The two of them ended up, they are together today. They have 3 beautiful daughters. Stephanie was always going to be the person who was going to run the show. Sadly, Shane was the one that got me the job. I liked Shane a lot. I really liked Shane. Thought he was kind of the bomb. But for whatever reason, Stephanie was kind of the one that everybody said was going to be running the show. And once again, this isn't like any kind of information that's bad. They're a family of brilliant TV makers. They made great TV. They knew the business better than anybody. And I give them all the credit in the world. So Stephanie just posted, until the conclusion of the investigation into recent allegations, I'm honored to assume the role of interim chairwoman and CEO. I love the WWE, and she did, and she does, I'm sure. They all do. I mean, what's not to love? It's like the cool show on TV, right? Except for all the horrible stuff that is a part of it. Horrible stuff. After I left, Vince, he actually had a whole thing. Here's the thing. I'm gonna give you a little inside info that I can, because when I left, you signed things. I would on their plane. I'd be on the plane, the plane. I'd fly with Vince. From 99 to 2001, I was with them all the time. I was like attached to their hip. I'd be on the plane. I'd be reading the Bible. Right? I was young. What did I know? I didn't know that he wasn't so into all that stuff. And a lot of the things that I wrote and a lot of things that I shared on the show had to do with faith. I'm not proud of everything that I wrote, and I'm not proud of everything that I had to do with. And I'm glad that when it was time to leave, the Lord moved me out of there, thanks to Stephanie, because I didn't like the way things were going. But it is what it is. I'm very happy about it. I got a great recommendation from Vince when I left, which got me my job, believe it or not, at like the #1 Christian network in the world, because turns out the owner, Marcus Lamb, who just passed away recently, it's horrible, Daystar Television, he was a huge wrestling fan. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be there. And if it wasn't for there, I wouldn't be here. See how it all works out? God's in charge of everything. But Vince, he was known for, he had a big problem with the whole religion thing. This is where he went to church and he basically, kind of cursed God and had a whole thing with God. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. It was a big to-do. And very interesting, very interesting. The whole thing with The Undertaker and everything else. When I came on, by the way, he was the Great American Badass. It was we changed his whole we changed a lot when I came in. It's amazing. So let me read a little bit about this probe. Let me just I'll pull this up, and before we get there, let's go right here. Okay, so this is from TMZ. Stepping away from the WWE amid probe, Stephanie McMahon named the interim CEO. Okay, so the deal is there was a woman who got paid to kind of keep her mouth shut, I guess. That's the way it is. Vince McMahon voluntarily stepping away. Supposedly, I just talked to our guest, who, by the way, the head of the right to censor. We're going to get into this. Legend, Stevie Richards, highest rated wrestler of all time. Just so you know, he holds the key. Not The Rock, not Austin, not Undertaker, Stevie Richards. Just want to point that out. Minute by minute ratings, he's the man. It's ironic because he's also a friend of mine. Still is to this day. So Vince McMahon stepping away as CEO, and Stephanie is now appointed. The directors, the board of directors, they're going to, there's some allegations of misconduct, and they're taking it seriously. The independent directors of the board engaged in this legal counsel to assist them in an independent review. The special committee will look into this third-party conduct. They're going to conduct a comprehensive review of the company's compliance program, HR, and all that jazz. I'm surprised this is coming out just now. Not that I saw anything. Not that I saw things, but, nothing at work. And I'm just surprised that it took this long, to be honest. Because, you think, wow, you hear all these stories from all these people that are close to Vince, and you think, wow, somebody's got to come out of the woodwork. We actually, believe it or not, knew his secretary for a while. Ironically, when I was growing up, my mother's friend, worked for him for a while. So I knew going into this job that there may be some issues. But, she's passed, and we're not going to bring that up. The investigation of Vince stems from a claim that he allegedly paid a former employee $3 million over 5 years after they had an affair. The woman alleges that Vince paid her $1 million in advance and was expected to dish out the $2 million in hush money over 5 years. Wall Street Journal reported that a preliminary investigation into Vince revealed Vince made payments to the ex-employee using personal funds. It's interesting, right? So it wasn't company funds, it was personal money. Wall Street Journal reported that the investigation into Vince revealed he made these payments, I want to point this out again, using personal funds. It's a big deal. Vince said in a statement on Friday that he'll cooperate, and it seems like he is. Here's Stephanie's tweet that I read earlier. This is interesting. This is interesting. It's interesting, especially with the climate that everything is starting to come out. Here we go. I had a little hashtag on Twitter for a long time. If they be corrupt. Remember that? If they be corrupt. Little by little, corruption's being revealed. Not saying Vince is corrupt. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't happy when I worked there, but I wasn't treated like poorly. They kind of made fun of me. They did little weird things here and there. Like I'd have like a bunch of cigarette butts left on my laptop when I had to write something. It was weird. Like a little hazing. That's just what they do. It's all right. I wasn't used to it, so I of course took it a little to heart because I wasn't used to it. The hazing and the ribbing. Call it ribbing, you know. But listen, Vince, Linda, the McMahons, powerful people, right? Powerful people. When I left, just so you know, when I left, the XFL just kind of started. Then I left. Belly Up didn't do great. When I was there, Vince became a billionaire. When I left, I think he dropped off a little bit. I'm just saying. But they maintained such prominence and status. You know that Vince and Trump are very good friends. I've talked about this on the show where I witnessed Gangrel, the wrestler who's known as a vampire, blowing, spitting blood all over Trump and Ivanka at a house show at MSG, which I thought was very strange. But Linda was picked a couple of years ago to run small businesses. They're smart. And Vince was tapped, just so you know, for recovery, COVID-19 recovery efforts. Vince McMahon. Guys, listen, the guy's smart. Guy's a genius, right? I learned a lot when I was there. Like you wouldn't believe. I had no right being there in the professional sense. Only the Lord could have brought me there because I didn't know what I was doing, but it just came to me. I kind of faked it till I made it, and it worked out. Thank God. Vince is is an intimidating guy. He's an intimidating guy. Stephanie, as young as she was intimidating. Shane, he was always cool. I always liked Shane. Never had a problem with Shane. Worked out with Vince a couple of times. Worked out with the wrestlers. Very nice. I got yelled at once. When we were turning Austin to heel, supposedly. And I didn't do things. He told me, he said, even though it worked, don't you ever do that again. And he was right, because I really shouldn't have listened to Hunter, who was the one that was kind of goading me into building the anticipation instead of turning him heel. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the show. Okay, so somebody who's disconnected to Donald Trump in the recovery effort, you wonder how all of a sudden is he on the radar? Like, how did this happen? How is this possible? The guy who shaves Vince McMahon's hair, Donald Trump, who, on the show, we know I have some suspicions of where this may be going in the future. How's it possible that he's, how is he not being revealed to be the person that they're now saying that he could be if he was? I heard stories. But once again, locker room talk, right? I don't know if any of it was true. Heard stories. I went to one of his Christmas parties. When I left, I saw something that I thought was interesting, but it wasn't anything that was like horrible, But they're stories, right? So you hear these stories again and again and again and again. How do you have this powerful guy in this testosterone-driven, right, business? How do you not think that could go wrong somehow? You have all that power. You have all that money. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. We have Stevie Richards. I'm going to be calling him on the show. Good friend of mine. And he's going to reveal a little more of the inner workings. He was the head guy for the right to censor. He was the guy who started it. By the way, if you look at the very bottom, you'll see April to May 2001. That's when the right to censor disbanded. They were a group. It was Vince's idea. He wanted to, he was having a problem with, the organizations on TV saying, there's too much nudity, there's too much violence, there's too much. He wanted to do a little thing to kind of, make fun of them. And it was supposed to be like just a little thing that we throw out there once and then we kind of forgotten. But yet I saw it as an opportunity. And little by little, I took all of the things that I thought were like really horribly wrong. Like, I'm going to show you a picture here. That group right there, that's the right to censor. Does anybody in wrestling history remember them? Does anybody remember them at all? Tell me in the comments section of the live stream, because I got to tell you something. There's a lot more to the right to censor than you know. They were a very big stable. One of the best. They almost united the belts. Very strange. Very strange. A lot of people forgot about him, that Gen X dude said. Nancy Smith remembers. A lot of people don't remember. Some people do. Absolutely. They had the worst entrance music. It was like a big censor sign with the and everybody hated them. Why did they hate them? Guess what? They were quoting scripture. That's right. Fight the good fight. That was their slogan. Where did that come from? I wonder. It's the Bible. Yeah. Me and Stevie, we used to talk about this. I was having this crisis of faith, and I wanted to see, and I had this idea that I believed storytelling was better than smut. Storytelling was better than the lowest common denominator. Storytelling was better than just showing people, the boobies and the butts, and the Jello matches and the this and the that, and like the underwear matches. I mean, come on. I knew that story was better. I knew that people deserved more. I knew that people would dig in. So I took people that weren't that popular. They were what they would call jobbers. So here's a picture of the group right there. You'll see Stevie Richards is right there to the right. Next to him is Bull Buchanan. He was like the bodyguard for the big boss man. He didn't have a great job, but he was like the first into the fold because he was a sweet man. And I really liked Bull. I really liked him. He had kind of a nice heart. And I thought, wow, what a great guy to bring in. And then Ivory, who was inducted, she was inducted into the Hall of Fame just recently in 2018. Ivory, amazing. She's the one that's actually in the thumbnail, She's the one that's actually in the thumbnail. Ivory, what a great name. She was one of the most talented performers in the history of the WWE. She was dominant. And when she got into the right to censor, man, she just flourished. And you know something? She didn't like all that stuff, all the nasty stuff and everything. I'm not speaking on her behalf. We may or may not have had conversations, but I really liked her. She was like somebody that I thought, wow, this is somebody who's just has a great heart. And man, did she just kill that part. Her and China had some of the best stuff together, especially when China had her neck brace. All of these things that God put me in this place where I got to be a part of all this. Just amazing to me. Just amazing to me. Stevie, who was the head of the right to censor, he was a friend of mine. I really liked Stevie. He was just a sweet guy. He was a really sweet, had a great heart. And him and I really we hit it off. So him being named the head of this group was just, I think, brilliant. Brilliant. And I'm not sure if it was me that brought his name up or if it was Vince that said, or if it was Stephanie, because Stephanie was very fond of Stevie. But talk about how, like if there was ever a guy to play this role, he was the greatest, just the greatest. And I'm still to this day so close to him. He's just such a wonderful guy. And I'm so happy that he's going to be, I'm going to call him on the show. We're going to talk a little bit because there's been some rumblings about whether or not I work there, which is just really kind of goofy. But Right to Censor was disbanded right when I left, which was in April and May of 2001. I was there in 1999 to 2001. Now, I want to do this. This is going to seem a little self-serving, but I want to do this just to kind of put over the fact that maybe God does have a plan, and maybe, God, see, in the scriptures, it says that when God has a plan for somebody and somebody is sincere and wants to serve God, that God will bless those things. So like if you go to work for a certain organization, the organization will just will flourish. And that's happened to me everywhere I've worked, thank God. It's a little harder on YouTube, unfortunately, because of being, I guess, like shadow banned. But it's this is something that was pretty fantastic to me because I was always a fan of the show. Always a fan of the show. And let me pull up, I'm going to pull up the ratings so you just get an idea of where things were at. So this is 1997. Okay, this is before I'm there. This is the era that everybody's talking about. This is Vince Russo, man. The guy's a legend. Guy's a legend, But you look at the ratings, right? 3s, 2s, you got 1-4 there. Let's go down and we're going to check out the next year. We'll go 1998. We'll see how that is. 1998, 3s, 4s, 3s, 4s, about the same. Let's go to 1999 when Homeboy comes in. That's me. What's that? That's a 7. That's a 6. That's an 8. That's a 6.4. Look at these numbers. That's a big difference. Just so you know, that's like millions of people. So here you have, they were getting beat by WCW. Then all of a sudden, this meatball comes in. Who am I? I'm a nobody, right? Nobody had respect for me. Nobody thought that I was anything. But there was something about that time. And there was something about the fact that I was in that place at that time. Something about the fact that Stevie, who's now still a friend of mine, was there at that time. That these ratings just, they went crazy. Now, did they stay that way after I left? Let's take a look. So here we go. You take a look at let's take a look at 1999. We'll go to, here we go. We're still, 5s and 6s, and we're still really high up there. And let's go to 2000, and let's go to same thing. Let's go to after I left, because there was a huge drop off in ratings after I left. Here's 2004. You don't see any 6s up there, do you? You don't see any 5s, right? Let's take a look. Let's keep going. So what changed? The Rock was back. Austin was back. 3s, 1s, 3s. What changed? Could it be that maybe God had a blessing on my life and that because of it, the ratings went through the roof? Let's take a look. I can tell you the day that I left. I left actually in April. Oh, look at these. 4, maybe 1-4. Ratings didn't do so well. That means something, people. That means something. I was a nobody. I was a poor kid. My mother had me when she was 18. I never met my father. He took off. I grew up in the wealthiest town ever, which is kind of how I lucked out with working in that very same wealthy town and meeting Shane to be being put in that place at that moment in time to see all of that. It was very weird. It was very strange, but it was very awesome. It was very awesome. And then to behind the scenes craft characters like Ivory, like Stevie. I mean, this whole group, let's take a look. So you'll see on the very left, that's Val Venus. He was a porn star. After he got into the right to censor, no longer. Next to him is the Good Father. He was known as the Godfather, and he had what they called the Ho Train every time he came out. Little by little, we worked at this, and the ratings got better and better and better. Isn't that something? Isn't that something that you didn't need to show Jello matches? You didn't need to show excessive violence. You didn't need to show things that were below the standard of morality. But you needed to have storytelling. I'm not saying everything that we did back then was perfect. I was still young. I was still young. I went on to do things that I'm not that proud of. Not that they were that bad, but I'm 51 now. Things are different. Things are different. And now that hashtag, if they be corrupt, is coming out. It's coming out. So here's Stevie. Let me pull him up again. I'm going to try to get him on the phone because he is just, who here knows him? He is a legend. He is a legend and always has been. I'm going to see if I can give him a ring. We can get him on the phone and he can kind of give his inside info into, oh my God. Hey, man. I called. You know why? I got to tell you something. Was the audio okay?
Yeah, your audio sounds really good. I was watching the show.
You know what's really funny? Hang on a second. Let me pull this. Let me come back over here. Now I got you on the phone. Does everybody know your real name, or is that something that we can't tell? Because Stevie,
let's keep it a secret, like yours.
Okay, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it a secret. Yeah, we're gonna keep it a secret, like my name too. Yes, it's funny. Listen, so it's funny. I didn't even have my microphone on, so I must have been using my computer mic. Was the audio okay still?
Yeah, it sounded good. A little less, a little more hollow than using the Yeti, but it still sounded good.
Oh man, I got to tell you something. It wouldn't be a live show if I wasn't messing things up. Okay, so listen, you and I go back a long time. So why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and how we became friends, and tell me about that time.
Well, I'm just basically a way I can just sum up who I am. I'm just some skinny kid from Philadelphia that likes to work out every morning and go to the beach whenever I can. So that sums up me as a person, besides the fact that, like you had said before, God put us in spots that obviously at the time we may not have even understood why we were there. But I'm 50 years old, you're 51.
We're getting old.
We have the perspective now looking back at like what we were really doing there. And it was probably, I was in wrestling. I started in 1991. So about 9 years in the business when we met. And I think you could sense when I was backstage at WWE. And by the way, from 1999 to 2008, my 9.5-year run in the WWE, I never had 1 second where I ever felt like I fit in. I never had 1 second where I felt like I was comfortable or it felt like the place I should be. And I think that's mainly when we met in 2000 and started working together. We both gravitated towards each other because
we felt out of place.
We felt like two misfit toys on this island. Crazy people.
Why did you feel so out of place? Like, what was it about you? Is it because you're a kind guy and you have a kind heart and maybe you weren't enough of a shark?
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with that. I think also I just knew from wrestling that it was never, even at 19 years old when I started, it never quite fit really who I was as a person. It was great to make pretend and be characters and obviously see places all around the world and perform in front of people and be able to do something what I feel like to a high level that most people never get the opportunity to do. So, yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it, but maybe it's something to the point of like I've seen wrestling change people so much.
Yeah.
Like you and I have seemed to be besides having more mature, well, maybe my wife's saying less maturity as I get older, but it might be because you're the same dude I met in 2000.
Yeah, and vice versa.
I think I'm the same guy that you met back then too.
Right. So the right to censor was something that like had never been done before, and I don't think people realize that minute by minute you're the highest rated wrestler of all time. I don't think people realize that.
I think that those minute by minutes were the moment that we got the crosshairs on us.
Yeah.
During that time.
Yeah. I mean, it was something I was saying earlier that it was like there was another writer on the show who stayed with the company. And after I left, we didn't have like a rivalry, but I wasn't like him. You know, I was a different type of guy, and we didn't really get along much. And he hated all of you. He hated the right to censor. He was looking to kill it anytime he could. And it was like the instant I left the company, it was ironic that you guys were like disbanded. You lost every single match. The pay-per-view following me leaving the company. How crazy is that? Crazy.
Yeah, but you know what being in that business, what you just basically said, it's such a subjective business, and you know, if you saw this person, you saw the person, but if anybody watching or listening saw this person, you'd be like, this guy doesn't even look like he could fight his way out of a wet paper bag. And he's, you know, this Napoleon type of complex that a lot of these people have. It can hurt your career and it can cost you a lot of money. But you know what it did for me, and I think what it did for you is it instilled such a work ethic that when we did have the opportunity, and we do now have the opportunity where it's all on us, how our legacy and our business or whatever we want to do in life is up to us. We have an immense amount of freedom, and I'd rather have it the way it happened than having the freedom and then having it taken away.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, you were just on Russo's show, just like before coming on here. And so what do you think? Now, is Vince going to like address this? Is he going to address this live?
Well, we talked about this when I was on we talked about it with Vince Russo, Ben Hameen, and myself earlier today, just before your stream.
Right.
We can't believe that this is. I'm almost thinking, and I have a couple theories about why this happened, and also why this is happening. I have a feeling this is very much like a Joe Biden type analogy, that I think there's somebody in the background just trying to do everything they can to take every bit of credibility away from Vince right now.
Right. Why do you think that is? Why would you say that? That's a strange thing to say.
Well, I think that the Joe Biden analogy is because they're letting him go on live TV just as it's starting to get traction. But the timing on just my feeling from when stuff doesn't add up, because like you said earlier, they could have got Vince years or decades ago on any of this stuff.
Well, once again, allegedly, like I have no idea of what he did in his private life or what he did on company time. I mean, allegedly, I heard so many monstrous stories.
Let's say alleged. We're saying alleged. So these allegations of whatever are dated back many, many years, many different situations. But what I'm saying is, with this particular one, the timing doesn't make sense outside of, obviously, the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp distractions over, so we need another distraction from some of the real problems in the world.
Right.
But my thing is that WWE has been kind of on the rumor mill to be sold. Like they're setting it up with Nick Khan coming in and trying to get crossover appeal, that they were setting up to hopefully sell for a great price. And what I'm looking at, too, is the financial aspect, that there was 1.5 million shares traded, which is 3 times more than usual, like right before the news broke.
Right.
And during a downturn in the market, when if you're a smart investor, you're going to hold on. You're not going to sell. So all in all, just to encapsulate that, could somebody who's potentially looking to buy WWE, letting via corporate espionage or whatever, getting this information finally pushed out to devalue the company to buy it at a bargain?
Right. Now, yeah, there's some people that are. I'm going to pull this up here if I can.
Can I say one last thing about Vince, though?
Yeah, say what you want.
You know this guy too.
I do.
That last paragraph of the most passive Vince McMahon that I could ever imagine. I'm going to accept any findings from the inquiry. To me, that screams of, hey, keep your mouth shut. We're going to sell the company, and you'll get a couple billion out of this just to ride off into the sunset. When have you ever known Vince not to want to fight something?
Right. Well, that's true. He's definitely not somebody who, from what I've learned about him, and I had a one conversation that I had with Vince. I will never forget. I was writing a promo for Austin, and Triple H, and I wrote something about hell, and I remember describing it in the promo, and then Vince telling me, "I've been to hell. I know what it is." Not like it, it was very interesting to me. I thought he was messing with me a little bit, but I was a young kid and I thought, that's okay, Vince. All right. That's cool. So he really liked my writing, which was great. I mean, that made me very happy, but it was very strange at the same time, so they're like, he has a board of directors that are looking into this. And I have a list of the board members up. There's like 12 members of the board. The 12 disciples, right? And I guess the guy who is kind of leading this thing is Manjit Singh, who is the former president of home entertainment Sony Pictures. Kind of like he's kind of the guy that seems to be spearheading it. But the question is, who leaked this information? Was it done on purpose? Was this an inside job? Was somebody trying to sabotage? Or is this kind of like, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you out of here before, something worse comes, and we're going to sell the company, like you said. I don't know.
That was my other part, too, about the suspicion in this, that Vince being so accepting and passive was... They kind of allegedly, if there's, talking about allegedly, I don't know this, but usually if someone that alpha male or type A personality gives up and submits that quickly, does that mean, like you said, we're just going to push this one through because it's the least egregious? The other stuff is 5, 10, 20 times worse. Let's get you out of the spotlight with this, little thing with the hush money.
Right. That's true. It's true. It's a very interesting thing. Do you think they're going to do something tonight on air?
Oh, I mean, it's here. He's gonna. They said this is the telling thing. You read into from being in the business. I'm sure you read into every word and being a writer. They said the Mr. McMahon character is going to be on SmackDown tonight.
Wow.
So there's so much of the wrestling bubble, which we use that term a lot.
Very strange.
You just don't know the true consequences of anything. It's such a weird dynamic.
Right. Yeah, it is. I got to tell you, the whole dynamic of the family is strange, especially since, Stephanie was just going to leave. She was just going to take a leave of absence. After Hunter had his big heart deal, which a lot of people are talking about, a lot of celebrities are having a lot of health issues all of a sudden. It's very strange.
It's that sudden, it's SADS, SADS, right? The sudden.
Oh, I've heard about that as well. It's very.
In this country for over 100 years, or maybe just the past 6 months.
It's true. Who knows?
Allegedly.
Hey, we're not doctors. We're not doctors. We don't know. I
wasn't TNA. I was Dr. Stevie.
You were Dr. Stevie, which, by the way, I remember watching you as Dr. Stevie and thinking, my goodness gracious, this guy, he just continues to excel. You were so good at that. You had your run with, what was his name? Abyss? Was that his name?
Yes.
Man.
And, here's the thing, too. Dr. Stevie was basically, that whole character was based on exactly how you coached me and produced me.
Oh, come on, stop it.
Becoming the co-leader. 100%. Dr. Stevie was basically right to censor with a little bit of American Psycho pulled into it.
Well, here's a little something for the people that watched wrestling and were big fans, like my wife, Dan, who was a fan at the time I was writing. If you look at their outfits right there, you know where those outfits came from? The movie Falling Down, where the guy was just done with the system. And I just thought, that's you. I said, that's you. You're just done with the way things are here in the WWE. So that's where the it had nothing to do with Mormons. People are like, oh, it's because of the Mormons, or it's because nothing to do with that. It had to do with that movie, because I was so just touched by that movie to see people just flip it out. And like, could you imagine him today? That was nothing back then. Things weren't that bad back then. Today, holy macaroni.
Yeah, unfortunately, with people being, with the people being stuck inside for so long and other things, and everywhere you turn, there's no way to shut off the sensory overload.
So sad.
We could have hundreds, if not thousands, of Michael Douglas characters running around, which I hope doesn't happen.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Everybody's being pushed to a complete limit with that. But I just want to actually dispel any doubt or rumors, unless this is another Mandela effect. But I absolutely remember working with you at WWE. So as far as I know, at least whatever multiverse or wherever CERN put us, we were working there.
We did. Yes, we did. I definitely worked there. Yeah, that's it. Trish Stratus, when she came on, I coached her. I wrote for, I would listen to an interview that you just had with somebody. I don't remember the guy's name, but it was great. And he brought up the fact that during the time that I was there, everybody had a storyline. And I thought that was such just a wonderful thing to say, because I thought, why shouldn't everybody have a meaning on the show? Like, why should there just be jobbers? Why should someone be like, today I'm going to fight you for the belt, for the title? Vince would get so mad if you said belt. Why would anybody say that when, you could have these, like with China and Eddie? I had this relationship with China and Eddie that I cultivated, where Eddie had to get his GED. You got to make something of yourself if you want to be a good man. And he had a problem with her doing Playboy. I mean, it's like today, I think they're missing the mark, because there's so much that they could be talking about. Like, if I went to work for WWE today, literally, I believe that channel, the show, regardless of what channel it was on, would go crazy, because they're missing the mark completely. They're totally not tapped in to what's going on in the world, and they're not telling relevant stories. That's the thing. It's not about the lowest common denominator. It's about common stories, And
well, I think a lot of it has to do with, it does reflect society off TV more than it does on TV. And it has a lot to do with ego. I mean, look at the people that are running the world right now. Look at the people that we supposedly put on a pedestal and are supposed to look up to and look to for inspiration or direction. They are doing everything they can for themselves and, screw everybody out there. You know what I mean? It really is everybody for themselves that way. And unfortunately, in wrestling, it's literally well, if he's still there, you're performing for an audience of one.
Right.
Vince doesn't care about the audience, or this is his plaything and it's his power over human beings. Because when you're a billionaire, and I'm sure you've said this about people with money and stuff like that, and power and some of the things that are going on in the world, when you have that much money, like, you become a little
disconnected.
How can I put it? You become a little skewed with your
right.
view of how to entertain yourself. And that's what I believe happened to Vince.
Maybe. I got to tell you something. Listen, when I was there, they didn't treat me poorly. The only time that I really had an issue was when I spoke up. And it was like, you didn't want to be speaking up. And I think it was a mistake, because they lost half of their audience after I left and haven't gotten it back. So, I mean, just the ratings don't lie. People want more than violence, excessive violence. They want more than dark stuff. They want more than, goofy comedy. They want more. They want reality. They want heroes to believe in. They want things that matter. And I got to tell you something. You were a part of something that mattered. Even though we exaggerated you and made you look like you were a crazy cult leader, which you were so good at it too. You were a part.
Thank you. I tried to put up a current picture. I got my long hair back and everything and a beard. I don't
right.
look like that.
Hey, tell everybody about what you do, because you're passionate about about fitness. And he's been doing this for years. Stevie and I have been in touch. I mean, we haven't lost touch since I left. He has a huge YouTube channel. You can go subscribe to him. I'll link it later. If you're watching this on the whatever it is after it's live, I'll put the link below. But there's his channel. Make sure you subscribe. The amazing amount of info that you share, not just about like home gyms and everything else, but about exercise and about fitness. And like, I wish you would talk more because what Stevie used to do was he used to talk about the goofy things I talked about. I think you should get into that more. And you're on the Horsemen of the Apocalypse? Tell me about that show again, because I was on once and I want to be on again. Will you tell them?
Well, it no longer exists because of our great overlords that know what's best for us. So we really don't really do that anymore. Ben is going to do something. I mean, he's going to do something on his own or maybe with a couple other people. But that's why I give you all the credit in the world, because it's such a tap dance, too, to try to get the truth out. Even with my channel, trying to talk about working out and health and fitness, proper nutrition.
It's hard, yeah.
And trying to take control of your fitness journey. And my videos get flagged for that. They don't want that kind of accountability or self-responsibility talk where people can make their lives better. You know, they don't want that. And I give you credit in the world because you've definitely, I haven't seen your channel for a while. I've had to look for it, and
yeah,
now it kind of looks like it's coming
hidden
back into visibility. I'm really happy to see that.
Well, you know, it's kind of a bummer. Like even right now, we got like less than 1,000 people. I mean, yeah, 100%. There's something going on with the channel. It's kind of a bummer. That's why I need everybody who watches and enjoys it. People they don't realize how important it is to just hit like, to just leave a comment and to share it and to tell people about it. And people are sometimes embarrassed that they watch me on the down low and they're like embarrassed to be like, hey, check this channel out, check this, guy out, listen to what he's saying. And ironically, all I talk about is love, acceptance, forgiveness, joy, peace, purpose. These are the things I talk about. So the reason why I'm still here is because I don't break the rules. I'm not going to break the rules, but that doesn't mean that they can't like limit me. My God, I'm like always, my subs are always disappearing. It's a bummer. Bums me out because I don't want to take on like 1 million sponsors. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't want to have to be, the first minute of my show telling everybody to buy food. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. If people just shared it, if they liked it, if they commented, and they just let people know.
For a second, that last part, I'm sorry.
Well, no, if everybody just shared and liked and commented, we wouldn't have to even take on a sponsor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. I can hear you. I have the worst.
Okay.
I want to thank you for coming on, bro. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you were busy today. Everybody wants to have you on the show because of what's going on with the WWE right now.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you throughout all the years and decades of friendship. And we both share our faith and share our journey, and try our best every day and fall short, just like everybody else. So it's good to know there's other people out there like you and me that have that faith and want to keep pushing forward.
So what's your prediction for Vince going forward? What do you think? You think he's going to be cleared of all this? Or do you think he's going to be, this is going to be a done deal, swept under the rug, and everybody's going to forget about it, and then they're going to sell the company and make a lot of money?
I think he'll be the fall guy for whatever there's no company, and then it'll be a clean slate. He'll make more money off of it somehow, and that'll be the end of it. There's a small part of me, because he's so unpredictable, that somehow it just flashes in my mind once in a while today, the Bud Dwyer thing. Like, if it's going to be alive on SmackDown and do something crazy. I don't want to see that happen, though.
Well, I hope not. I'm going to be watching, though. Listen, if anything, it's going to get them it'll get them a couple of ratings. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you, brother. I love you. All right, well, perfect timing. Michael and I, we have Stevie and I, we've lost touch. I have terrible reception in the house here. I want to thank all of you for coming on today. Thank you in the comment section for everybody who has just taken a moment to help the channel out. I had a whole other show to talk about today, but when this news came, I knew I could kill like two birds with one stone. A lot of people say, "Oh, you never worked there. I get one of the biggest stars in WWE history, even though people don't say that he is. He is. The numbers don't lie. And I was there when the numbers were the highest. Thanks be to God. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Have the best day ever. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You want to get yourself a Teach Me the Truth shirt in the description below. You want to get yourself a copy of the novel, which, by the way, one day is going to be in a major motion picture, in the description below. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, and I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.